Trillionaire lifestyle of John D. Rockefeller. Business tycoon and philanthropist John Davison Rockefeller Sr. was born in America on July 8, 1839 and died on May 23, 1937. He is largely regarded as the richest individual in modern history and the richest American of all time. Rockefeller was born in upstate New York into a big family that traveled about a lot before settling in Cleveland, Ohio. At the age of 16, he started working as an assistant bookkeeper. At the age of 20, he entered into his first of many business partnerships, focusing on oil refining. In 1870, Rockefeller established the Standard Oil Company. He served as its manager and biggest shareholder until 1897. Hello everyone and welcome back to Luxe Life. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for the latest updates on the world's richest personalities and their lifestyle. With that being said, let's get started. Kerosene and gasoline's increasing importance caused Rockefeller's wealth to surge. And at his height, he was the country's richest man and had 90% of the country's oil reserves. But what are the other factors which helped him to become successful and rich? And how can one implement his ideas? And what was the importance of Rockefeller? Before the development of electricity, oil was utilized extensively across the nation as a lighting source and with the development of the automobile as a fuel. Additionally, Rockefeller expanded his control over the railroad sector, which was responsible for moving his oil across the nation. The first notable business trust in the United States was Standard Oil. Rockefeller transformed the petroleum sector and played a crucial role in both extensively dispersing and significantly lowering the cost of producing oil through business and technological advancements. His business and business tactics drew criticism, especially from author Ida Tarbell. In 1911, the Supreme Court declared that Standard Oil must be broken up because it had broken the federal antitrust laws. Exxon Mobil, Chevron Corporation, and other businesses that still have the greatest levels of revenue in the world were split up into 34 different corporations. Since the shares of these divisions increased in value by a factor of 2 to 3 in their early years, it ultimately turned out that the individual divisions of the firms were more worth than the entire corporation was when it was one entity. As a result, Rockefeller amassed a wealth equivalent to about 2% of the country's GDP, becoming its first billionaire. His estimated personal wealth in 1913 was $900 million, or almost 3% of the $39.1 billion US GDP for that year. That is the amount of his peak net worth, or $24.7 billion US dollars in 2021 dollars inflation adjusted. Along with other significant capitalists like steel mogul Andrew Carnegie, Rockefeller spent the majority of the last 40 years of his life in retirement at Kykuit, his home in Westchester County, New York, developing the framework of contemporary charity. His income was mostly utilized to establish foundations that had a significant impact on science, medicine, and education, as well as the contemporary systematic strategy of targeted giving. His foundations pioneered advances in medical research and contributed to the nearly complete elimination of yellow fever and hookworm in the United States. He and Carnegie offered the work of Abraham Flexner, who in his essay Medical Education in America forcefully endorsed empiricism as the cornerstone of the U.S. medical system, formed and momentum through their charitable endeavors. In addition, Rockefeller supported the establishment of Central Philippine University in the Philippines and founded the University of Chicago and Rockefeller University. He was an ardent Northern Baptist who gave generously to numerous church-related organizations. He lived a life of complete abstinence from alcohol and tobacco. He leaned heavily on Laura Spelman Rockefeller, his wife and mother of his 5 children, for advice. He often attended the Erie Street Baptist Mission Church, where he also taught Sunday school and worked as a trustee, clerk, and janitor on occasion. He used religion as a compass throughout his life and saw it as the key to his success. Based on a social Darwinist viewpoint, Rockefeller was also regarded as a proponent of capitalism, and he was frequently quoted as saying the creation of a great firm is essentially a survival of the fittest. When Rockefeller was 16 years old, he got his first work as a clerk, and 6% of his pay went to charity, which he noted in his ledger. When he was 20, his charitable contributions accounted for more than 10% of his income. He donated a lot to the church, mostly. After the American Civil War, his congregation joined the Northern Baptist Convention, which was founded by American Baptists in the North with ties to their historic efforts to create institutions and universities for freedmen in the South. Every Sunday, Rockefeller went to Baptist churches. While on the road, he frequently attended services at African American Baptist churches, and he left a sizable payment. As Rockefeller's wealth increased, he gave more money away, mostly to causes related to education and public health, but also the arts and basic science. He was a proponent of the efficiency movement and stated, "To help an inefficient, ill-located, unnecessary school is a waste, and it is highly probable that enough money has been lost on misguided educational projects to have established a national system of higher education, sufficient to our needs if the money had been properly directed to that end." Under William Rainey Harper, Rockefeller donated $80 million to the University of Chicago, transforming it from a modest Baptist college into a renowned university by 1900. The University of Chicago was, in his words, "the best investment I ever made." Additionally, he provided the funding for the establishment of Central Philippine University, the first Baptist and second American university in Asia, in 1905 in the predominantly Catholic Philippines. This was done through the American Baptist Foreign Mission Society and the American Baptist Foreign Mission Board. 2 years after it opened, the Ormond Hotel in Ormond Beach, Florida, was purchased by Henry Morrison Flagler, one of Standard Oil's founders, along with Rockefeller. It was later one of several Gilded Age hotels serving travelers on Flagler's Florida East Coast Railway after he expanded it to accommodate 600 people. A former business colleague of Flagler's, John D. Rockefeller, who initially stayed at the Ormond Hotel in 1914, was one of the hotel's visitors. After working at the hotel for 4 seasons, Rockefeller decided to purchase the Casements, a home near Ormond Beach. Later in his life, Rockefeller would use it as his winter residence. His heirs sold it in 1939 and the city bought it in 1974. It is now used as a cultural center and is the most well-known historical building in the neighborhood. After a long and contentious career in the oil business, Rockefeller went on to have a successful philanthropic career. His persona is a composite of all of these encounters and the many perspectives held by his contemporaries. These contemporary individuals include his former rivals, many of whom were driven to bankruptcy, but many others of whom sold out at a profit or a profitable stake in Standard Oil, as Rockefeller frequently offered his shares in exchange for a business, and many of whom became extremely wealthy as managers as well as owners in Standard Oil. They include politicians and writers, some of whom worked for Rockefeller and the robber barons, while others made their fortunes by opposing them. Rockefeller were frequently depicted by hostile critics as a villain with a variety of terrible qualities, including ruthlessness, unscrupulousness, and greed, as well as a bully who planned his harsh road to supremacy. Robert Waples, an economist, cautions against neglecting the factors that led to his commercial success. Rockefeller's legacy is essentially defined by the sheer magnitude of his riches. According to a 1902 audit, Rockefeller was worth roughly $200 million, which was a significant amount given the $24 billion then total national GDP. On the eve of the First World War, his wealth, which included significant interests in banking, shipping, mining, railroads, and other industries, had reached about $900 million. His wealth continued to increase significantly in line with the U.S. economic growth as the gasoline demand soared. In 1913, he owned $900 million, which, after accounting for inflation, would be worth $23.5 billion in 2020. According to his New York Times obituary, it was estimated that Mr. Rockefeller had accumulated close to $1.5 billion out of the earnings of the Standard Oil Trust after Mr. Rockefeller withdrew from the nest. This was most likely the largest sum of money that a private citizen has ever managed to amass via own your. When Rockefeller passed away in 1937, his remaining wealth, which was mostly constrained by long-term family trusts, was estimated to be worth $1.4 billion, compared to the $92 billion GDP of the entire country. Rockefeller would undoubtedly rank as the richest person known to have lived in the last few decades of the 20th century, based on several techniques of calculating wealth. No other American fortune, including those of Bill Gates or Sam Walton, would even come close to it as the percentage of the U.S. GDP. When Rockefeller was 86 years old, he wrote the following to describe his life. "My life has been one long, happy holiday, full of work and full of play. I dropped the worry on the way, and God was good to me every day. I was raised to value both works and play. So, what are your views on all of this? Is this how the economy started changing in the United States? And did people try copying his techniques? Well, this brings us to the end of our video. If you enjoyed watching, then do like this video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more insightful content from us, and we'll see you in the next one. Until then, peace.